Welcome to those of you who've joined us today for our MGAA market briefing. Anyone who's not had the misfortune to listen to my introduction before, just to let you know that I'm Alison Cairns, the L&D manager from the MGAA. And very big welcome to today's market briefing. So happy to have Mark and everyone with us today from Encora. Sorry, I'll get there. Encora. I'm sure you'll correct me which one it should be when you get started. So a little bit of housekeeping first before I hand over. So just a polite request, please. So if anyone's got cameras or microphones on, which I don't believe anyone has, if you could, please turn them off so that we don't have any technical issues along the way. Quick question, about questions. If you do have any questions as we go through, if you pop them into the chat, and we may well pick them up as we're going through, but we also have time allotted at the end for a Q&A, so we'll definitely cover them off for you then. Also let you know that the session is being recorded. Benefit of that is that you'll be able to get a link to it. So if you want to recap on anything that we've covered, or if you wanted to let a colleague know and give them an opportunity to watch the content, you'll have the link come to you hopefully early next week. And last bit from me is just to remind you that all of our market briefings are accredited by the CII. So if this does meet with your professional development needs, you can add it to your CPD log. So enough from me. I'll hand over to our presenters. So yes, as I said, happy to have Encora with us today. And their session is Reimagining Claims Processing with Multi-Agent AI. So I will hand over to Devam to get the session underway.
Thank you. Thanks, Alison. Thank you. Really appreciate this opportunity, and really good to meet you all. So before we get cracking, just to introduce ourselves. Mark, do you want to take a minute to introduce yourself? Probably. Go on.
Good morning. So I'm the AI practice leader for Encora Europe, and I work with Devam in creating innovative solutions, and which we hope to show you today. And over to you, Devam.
Thanks. So I am the Senior Director for Encora Europe, and in my day-to-day responsibility, I look after most of our key insurance relationships and work closely with the MGAA as the MGAA member. We, of course, are available at that email, insurance@encora.com, if you need to get in touch with us anytime after this, or even during this chat. So yeah, looking forward to it. So if we move on to the agenda, market, thanks. So as Alison said, it's CPT accredited. So please feel free to reference that. The first bit that we are going to try and explore together is around this unprecedented technology that we believe has the potential to really transform parts of the insurance industry. Right? So particularly when we look at claims, we've got conversational AI, agentic AI embedded into claims capture and throughout the claims process. And if we were sitting here and talking about this 6 months ago, we would still be talking at a conceptual level, but I believe that's kind of evolved very quickly, and there are some insurers who are actually very much doing this as we speak in their production processes, in their customer experience layers, and so on. Right, so it's very much here and now, and then because we said something about agentic AI, we have a bunch of agents that we believe are personas that add to the entire claims evolution process enabled by AI. So yeah, that's one of the other objectives. The larger objective is to also understand how architectures would evolve to help us consume this technology, right? So when we look at enterprise-grade solutions, it's important to balance new technology against very specific regulatory standards, enterprise standards, security standards, guardrails, industry best practices, and of course, cybersecurity objectives as well, right? So along with data obligations, data privacy, data security obligations. So how do you consume this safely? How do you build architectures that are AI embedded, but enterprise grade, right? So, and then lastly, we'll come to how this really helps us in the business, right? Because at the end of the day, we need to see either costs go down or revenues go up, right? So how does this really impact 2 or 3 of those key parameters, right? So yeah, look forward to this. If we can move on, Mark. So I think, this thing sort of speaks to the regular challenges we face every day as MGAs and service providers to MGAs and insurers, right? So of course, this is something we believe also potentially helps us focus on what we are solving for, right? So if you look at claims processing, it's largely plagued by manual processes. It's something that takes weeks to cycle through. And when we look at how do you unlock value, you have the issues around data chaos, fragmented systems. You don't know what your single source of data truth is. You've got the same set of data being used for similar or different processes. Sorry, if we go back. Yeah, thanks, Mark. When we explore the impact of fraud in particular on claims processing, it is tremendous, and we'll of course talk more about it in the following slides. But what we're also focusing on is the art of the possible when we look at the subject matter that we're discussing, which is how AI can really help us differentiate. Is everyone's looking at this, and largely they're looking at it in a savings lens or a revenue and value lens, right? Now, if you look at savings, there's a tremendous potential across the industry, which is 1.6 to 2.4 billion is the forecasted number. And when we look at all of you MGAs and insurers who are planning to do this, we believe it's close to 100%, but we're still looking for the remaining 15% of these who are not planning to do anything with AI in 2026. But literally everyone we speak to, MGAs, insurers, 85% is what we believe is the number. But everyone's looking at this as we speak, and everyone's embedding it into their own data strategy. They've got data science teams, and we believe that any such initiative needs to be also looked at from bedding in and value perspective. So we believe the average payback period for large-scale AI implementations is between 12 to 18 months. So yeah, that's something we thought would help us focus minds and what are we solving for, and how this helps us. So if we move on, Mark. Thank you. So this is the impact of AI-led or AI-enabled solutions on various parts of the business processes that we have as insurers and NGAs. It's largely helping us with, again, 3 key areas. When it comes to dependencies on specialist resources, we all agree and we all understand that it's hard to find skilled resources, particularly claims adjusters and loss adjusters and so on, because it's been classed as one of those areas where no one really is excited to become a claims adjuster, right? So no one's got that in their career map. But so that creates a unique challenge around how do you de-risk, and the impact of AI-led solutions is significant in these sort of resource-intensive areas. But if we move further on, we have data fragmentation and processing times. We'll talk more about it in the next one. It takes a lot of effort to get the right data to feed into the right systems and then be available for relevant analytics. Now, all of this can be very easily managed using AI solutions. Like a simple example is that AI-led solutions don't differentiate between structured and unstructured data. They just process data as they see it, and they conform it, they model it, and that gives us a huge advantage alongside enterprise systems, right? So and then how that impacts the resolution times, etc., right? So going forward, when we move into the next one, we'll see what parts of the claims process takes the most time. So if we look at this is again, it's not something new. I'm sure a lot of you will already know this because you live it day to day, but the largest component is of any claims process is the investigation element, right? So whether you go out to you let's say, for example, you've got a small bakery that's had storm damage, that happens most often, or if you've had a business premises that has had a recent incident of theft, all of these things are beyond just evidencing stock, etc. The investigation also has to cover things like loss of business and other parameters. So all of this takes a good amount of time, and that's where investigation and assessment is also both time consuming and expensive, right? So yeah, so this is just to set the context and give us an idea of what the art of the possible is, where we can play and what we can impact. So yeah, Mark, if we can move on. So this is where we wanted to ask you. We think largely the challenges that we discussed are extremely relevant, but you run unique businesses, so we wanted to just ask you, what's your biggest challenge in claims processing today? If you can get the perfect. Thank you. Probably take cool. I think maybe oh great, there you go. You've started getting some responses in. Amazing. Perfect. Thank you. Yep, let's keep it going. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I think, is that going to be okay? Have we got all the audience covered? I guess so. Listen, I think So largely, if we look at this, I mean, you are sort of agreeing with us, but what's interesting is that we thought that operational costs would be higher up, but it clearly looks like there's going to be a more lively discussion around systems and poor integration, which is not surprising, but at the same time, it's also right up there with operational costs and limited automation and scalability as well. So yeah, thank you for the poll, Alison. I think we can move on. Thank you. So Mark, if we wanted to move on to the next one, and I think that is where I'd invite you to step in, Mark.
Yep. So that's an interesting one about integration and fragmented systems. We'll touch on that in a bit when we get to the architecture section. But yeah, for decades we've been stuck with manual processing, which we all know is slow, costly and inconsistent. The first evolution was to adopt single AI tools, maybe an OCR scanner for documents and simple rules engine. These created small pockets of efficiency, but the core process remained fragmented. The data still had to be manually passed from one silo to the next. But the real turning point is the shift to integrated AI team, which we'll come on to. But actually, it's the core idea of what we know now as the multi-agent system. So what is our new digital workforce? So instead of one giant monolithic AI trying to do everything, which is essentially we started out in AI with agents. They were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We found that it's a lot more effective if you create a lot of small, really focused agents doing specific things very well. So what we've got in, say, in the claim space is orchestration. So agents, if you've got more than one agent, you need somebody to supervise or orchestrate the other agents as the team manager. And so you can see like an F1 team, they'd need somebody to orchestrate, and each one a member of the F1 team would be managing different parts of changing wheels or looking after the vehicle, etc. The same here with claims. So what we've got is like on the FNOL, the first notification loss, is the data collection agent as actually in the forerunner and collecting the information based on rules and a data schema. So it asks the coverage agent to instantly check the policy. So now we're talking about reasoning across a policy. It sends photos and invoices to the evidence analysis agent and flags suspicious details for the fraud detection agent. So the key that each agent is an expert at its one job, and the supervisor coordinates them to handle the entire claim end to end in minutes. So let's make this distinction very clear. On the left, you have the smart bot. This is a single agent. It's a single program designed to automate one complex task perfectly. On the right, you have a smart team, the multi-agent system. This is a team of agents that communicate and work together. Why is this so important? Because a claim is not one task. It's a complex problem. A smart team is designed to solve that entire problem, which is far too big for a single agent. A single bot just follows a simple see, think, do loop. A smart team coordinates to achieve a shared goal. And this is the key difference. So let's see how it applies in action. We've got FNOL and the rest of the claims process. It's pretty much like this wherever you go. So how do you apply the smart team concept to this? It starts with FNOL, moves to assignment, investigation, and then evaluation, resolution, and then closure. So let's look at the evolution of this process across 3 levels of AI maturity. So the reason why we're looking at from an AI maturity is because it's not a one size fits all. We're all got different parts of this process that evolve, and some are highly manual still, some are even more advanced, like for instance FNOL, we'll show you a bit later. We've got an advanced solution for this area. So, right, so across this whole end-to-end process, we've got maturity levels to where you're looking at how we can apply AI. FNOL, human performs all manual data entry in level 1. The system's just a passive database. At assignment, a manager manually reviews a queue and assigns the claim. An investigation is all manual, making phone calls, sending letters, chasing documents. And an evaluation, an adjuster must read the entire file and use their personal experience to make a judgment. This continues all the way through to resolution and closure. It's slow, it's expensive, and it's inconsistent too. So the next level is AI assisted. Now this is where the co-pilot concept comes in that you know about. So this is where MGAs are today, roughly. It's a human in the loop partnership. AI is assisting. At FNOL, the AI helps by extracting data from digital channels to pre-fill the form. The human job is to verify its accuracy. At assignment, the AI suggests the optimum handler based on the capacity and expertise, and the manager simply confirms with one click. In investigation, the AI analyzes photos for damage, and the human reviews these insights to guide their strategy. At evaluation, the AI flags fraud indicators and suggests settlement ranges, but the human still makes the final call. This is much better, but as you can see, the human is still the bottleneck at every single step of the process. So this brings us to the highest level of maturity within AI that we see today, and it's the multi-agent vision, which you want to go in, drill into. Here the roles are reversed. The AI executes the process and the humans provide oversight and manage exceptions. At FNOL, the AI team manages the full intake via conversational chatbot we'll show you in a minute. A human only gets involved if the bot escalates a complex query. At assignment, the AI triages the claim and assigns it to a fully automated workflow. The human role is oversight. The key is the human in the loop all the time. It just elevates the human to deal with exceptions rather than everything. Investigation, the AI agents automatically gather data from integrated third-party sources. And in evaluation, the AI applies business rules and makes the claim decision. The human only manages exceptions that fall outside a set confidence score. And finally, the AI processes the payment, initiates automated recovery processes. So that your team's job is no longer doing the work. Their new high-level value job is managing escalations and reviewing system-level performance dashboards. So a better way of looking at it, because I appreciate all of that is quite involved, is to look at it process by process, stage by stage. But when you look at it across those three levels, it can be a bit overwhelming. So what we're thinking of is looking at, say, an example like FNOL, which you see on the screen. At level 1, this is pure manual data entry. The system's just a passive database. At level 2, you get an AI-assisted copilot. The AI helps by extracting data from an email or web form to pre-fill the claim. Your human handler's job is now to verify that data for accuracy. At level 3, you are AI-led. A conversational chatbot manages the entire intake process, 24/7, and is ultimately scalable. Your human handler is now an exception manager, only getting involved if the bot escalates a complex query. You can apply this vertical slice thinking to every stage, assignment, investigation, all the way to closure. And this is how you build your roadmap. So essentially, building roadmap, if you see the blue is, if you see on the top right, current state and future state, the green is, or yellowy green, future state, what you can do is map out that whole left to right process of where you are today and where you need to be. But you can't jump. It's really hard to jump, actually, from level 1 to level 3. So, but it's a way of building a vision of and a roadmap of implementation. So the maturity of each part of your claims life cycle is probably different. You don't go from level 1 to level 3. And as I said before, the whole point of a multi-agent system is that it's modular. You could create a future state that's mix and match. For example, you might decide to go to level 3 for FNOL to get that instant customer experience, which is shown on there, but to keep your complex evaluation process at level 2. And keeping your experienced adjusters in the loop, but now assisted by AI that suggests settlement ranges and flags for fraud. This glass box approach lets you automate the high volume, low complexity tasks first, freeing your human experts to focus on the high value complex judgments. The human's always in the loop. The idea being they're elevated to actually create even more value. So what's the business impact? As Devon was mentioning before, the impact from going from level 1 to level 3 is quite dramatic. The results, and this is not our numbers, these are numbers coming from McKinsey, BCG, IBM, essentially based on what we found, 90% faster. You're talking about for straight through claims for those claims which are standard, they can cut from days to seconds, basically. 30% cheaper translates to a 30% reduction in claims handling operational costs. It's 30% better. It's interesting how these are 30%. We see a 30% improvement in accuracy and critically in fraud detection. And the natural result of all this is 30% higher customer satisfaction. You're delivering a faster, more accurate and more transparent service at a lower cost, basically. And so the interesting thing about this is because we're talking about ultimate scalability, because this agents, because they're based on a cloud, delivered through cloud, it's the cloud elasticity to be able to scale and rapidly scale up and scale down. It provides the ability for the agents to do exactly that. Whenever there's like a burst of demand, you'll be able to satisfy it. So now, before, we all know this scenario, a major storm or flood hits, a demand surges, and you just instantly have 3 to 4 weeks of backlogs. Your human team's scaling potential is linear. You can't hire 1,000 adjusters for one weekend. Once you deploy agents, now an AI-led digital workforce built on the cloud, your scaling potential is exponential. You can spin up thousands of digital agents instantly to handle the volume. You can maintain normal service levels regardless of the volume. This is a profound competitive advantage, allowing you to be there for your customers right when they need you most. So here we go, demo. What we've done is created a conversational AI that just to demonstrate the power of agents. And we've created essentially a simple policy based on home insurance. And I'll just show you the details now. This is where I'll just show you. Let's get rid of the poll that's on my screen. A second. Right, so this is a simplified policy document, but it's what you'd normally expect. You've got your definitions in there. You've got what's covered, fire, water damage, etc. Those are the events. And the items that are covered, like buildings and specific items. You can see in there limits and also exclusions, so what's not covered. So this is what you'd expect in any policy. So this is what we're going to get the agents to reason across. So we're going to get the agents to essentially ask questions to capture a claim and use a coverage agent. We'll come on to the architecture in a bit. The coverage agent sitting behind the scenes will be checking against this policy. So let me just try and show you this. Let's get. Can you see, Devam? Does it come up on the screen?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So what we got here is, we could speak to it, but it's going to take too long. So what I've got some prepared text. Essentially, instead of typing it in as well, I can just copy it in. Essentially, it's home insurance, and there's a fire in my house, right? So let me just put this in. I'm logged into this, essentially logged into the system. It knows about my particular policy. It knows where I live. It knows who I am, and it's got the claims history in there, as you'd expect, right? So the fire broke out in my house, causing significant damage to the property and its contents. The fire started in the living room. It's important to just keep a note of these things as we go through. It's fire in the living room, quickly spread to other areas, destroying furniture, electronics, and personal belongings. There's also structural damages to the walls and ceiling. So it's not localized, it's all over that living room. I suspect the cause to be an electrical short circuit from an overloaded power strip in the living room. So it's saying, okay, thank you for sharing these details. Could you please tell me the date and time? So let's say it's today. It's only just happened, say 10:30 a.m. Okay. Thank you. Is your property currently safe and secure after the fire? Now, interestingly, we put that in because one of our customers, believe it or not, said we need to have that in because people were carrying on filling in a claim form when they needed should be dialing 999 and getting out of there, right? So this is just something we put in saying, yes, it's safe and secure. Yeah. So thank you for confirming that, yes, it appeared at my address, right? Can you tell me any floors? Well, it's only one floor. It's the living room that's affected, so just say one. Could you please list the specific areas of rooms on that floor which are damaged by the fire? Living room. Right. So now it's going through the policy, checking against the policy to make sure whatever I'm typing in there, it's covered. Essentially, what are the damaged items in the living room? So let me just copy this in. There's quite a bit here. This is why I'm not typing it in, but you can see what you would be typing in. So, and keep a note of this, right? 65-inch Samsung, right, TV. The amounts, it'd be checking the amounts against the limits in the policy. It was completely destroyed. Along with it, sound system, a sofa, coffee table, rug. Okay, let's try that. So it's got quite a bit there that it's going to have to be checking off against the policy now and saying, okay, are there any of them that's breaking the limits, for instance, or specific items that are not under cover? So it takes a bit of time only because we got pretty much a low-end processor behind it. But remember, we can put this on the cloud is elasticity. So it depends on how much you want to spend. You can get a hell of a lot faster. And you notice here about total cost, it's saying $0.30. That's the LLM cost. So it just shows you, it's just the rough order of magnitude of cost to actually do one of these sessions, right? So all the items are listed under your policy. It's checked it all off. Would you like to claim for any additional items or damaged buildings or except? Well, actually, yeah, we've got damaged buildings. So it's not just those items. So let me just copy that in and put into here. Oh, no, it's not that one. So I've done that. Let's get the copy this into there. So fire's damaged the walls. I'll show you a picture in a minute, because we're going to have to upload some evidence, right? So it's damaged the walls, plastering, repainting needs that, and this amount we think it's going to cost to fix. Wooden fitted floor needs replacing, yeah, and based on previous renovation costs, things about 5,000. All needs evidence behind it, of course, but we're putting in our claim. So it's now checking to see whether the buildings insurance will cover that. Yeah, thank you. Provide the approximate date of installation. I think I did the renovation in January 2023. There we go. By the way, this looks like it's Cantex, right? I'm only doing this for speed, right? We could be putting anything in this and it would be checking it against the policy. That's the main thing. It's not scripted. I've recorded the installation date for the walls and fitted floor. We'd like to claim for additional items and buildings, so we should proceed to review. Let's go forward to review. Proceed. Okay. It should be calculating the total as well, because there might be an overall cap, of limit to what you can actually claim for. The other thing about this while we're waiting for it to come back is conversationally, you could be doing this on a mobile phone. You don't need to, at the moment I'm doing it on a laptop, but you could, the ability to be able to do this at scene and to actually capture images at scene and then fill in your FNOL as frictionless as possible is achievable now. So can you please confirm all the items and buildings you wish to claim have been listed? Yes. Yeah, let's go for yes. Okay, so what's it captured? So without going into all the details, you can see that it's at the address, it's the date times today, 10:30, it's safe and secure, we think it's electrical fire. There's only one floor, living room. It's totaled it up, the amount of what you're claiming for. These claimed items, which we'll come on to in a sec, because I need to be able to give them, the evidence behind this, receipts, etc. So please review the details and confirm everything's correct. If you wish to make any change, let me know. So yes, correct. Notice it's free text input. I'd be just saying Y for yes, and it will still take that, right? So claim is submitted. Now we need evidence. So what I've done here is to say, actually, I don't want to do it, upload right now. I don't have the receipts. I need to go and find them. I've filed them somewhere. So I'll finish off the claim later by providing via email. So what I've got is George Brown, and I'm George Brown. So I've got an email, a Gmail box I set up, and that's thundering away in the background process. Oh, it's already finished. Okay. So it's come back with the LLM, the large language model that's powering the agent, as provided this custom email, right? So this is completely different, probably every time as well. It's coming back with what the actual items that you're claiming for, and it's asking for evidence. So I want to reply to this. Let me try and find the items that. Let's copy that into there. And I'll show you what I'm doing. I can do this. Let me just open this up and show you the, it's processing at the same time. I'll send that back to the agent, right? So I'm now providing all that evidence, but let me just show you the evidence itself. Don't know why it's thinking about it. Maybe something with Zoom. Can you see anything, Devon? It's gone all blank on my side.
Yeah, it's all blank.
Okay,
let's just go to the.
So if I just open some of these, so here's a picture of the damage to the flat, right? So you've got the walls damaged, the floors damaged, the settees damaged. Note there's no TV, right? There's no TV in the image, and I'm claiming for that. So that's one thing. I've also put in receipts, glass coffee table, and the wall rug. So that's correct. Let's have a look at this. This isn't correct, is it? Sony 75-inch. Yeah, so it's a 65-inch. So I will expect something coming back saying this is not right. So let's have a look at the file. Sorry, let me just get. Okay. Thank you for submitting the requested evidence for your fire. Done property, appreciate response to cooperation. Here's the evidence review. It's already spotted, even though we provided the correct receipt for these items, and the photo shows fire damage to the room that supports your claim for the building side of things. However, the receipt is for the Sony 75-inch, and the Breville kettle does not match what you're claiming for, which is the Samsung TV, and therefore cannot be accepted as evidence for those client claims. And in the picture itself, so it's analysing the picture and trying to match what you're claiming for. That's the key intelligence here. And so, yeah, the wall rug area not clearly identifying the submitted image. There's no receipt for it. So that it's saying the next steps is to send in receipts for those, so you can take the claim onto the next stage. So that's the end of the demo. But the key bit to notice is in now moving into omnichannel. Moving out of having to call a call center. That's the only way you can, or a portal. Moving into any way that you want to interact. Organizations are going to be supporting. So if you want to talk conversationally, as if you were talking to a person, using voice, not just chat like I did there, you can do it, right? If you want to use a mobile, you can do it. And, if you want to do it at the scene to capture all of these receipts, then you can do it. So
you've already got the new one as well. I think the other one was the old one. Yeah. So that's done as well. Perfect.
Yeah. So what's underneath the hood, right, is a multi-agent system. And what we said, essentially it's actually quite a complex system because it's a complex problem, but it's a glass box. I mean, the thing around regulation, we're in a regulated industry. We need to be showing for compliance, essentially a logical flow, an audit trail. Now, it's a lot easier when you've got a whole bunch of agents because each one of them are logging the decisions that it's making. So the conversational flow at the top, supported by the user interacting via text or audio, as you see on the left-hand side. That input passes through a moderator guardrail and a key compliance security step, essentially making sure that a conversation meets a certain level of requirements before it ever reaches the data collection agent. That agent then orchestrates the others, checking the coverage agent for the policy and the supervision agent for the data model. And the next bit at the bottom, essentially the evidence submission flow, shows what happens when the user uploads photos or documents. The evidence analysis agent and the email agent extract the data. That's what was going on behind the scenes. The JSON generator, all that is a standard format for transferring information between IT systems. Structures it, and it's all passed to the fraud detection agent before the final claim summary is created. Every step is modular, auditable, and manageable. What I didn't show, all I showed you was the user view in that demo. There's another entry point because you assign roles to people in the demo, right? So we could have gone into a compliance view where you could see every reason, every thinking piece, every action that it's taking, all as an audit trail. And so the first question we always get is, do we have to rip and replace my existing systems? Funny enough, that came top in the poll. The answer is no. This is built to integrate with your world using modern APIs to connect with and enhance your existing technology investments. You can evolve. The architecture leads us to one of the most important concepts for our industry, moving from a black box to a glass box. It's really important that when we're dealing with one single agent to do everything, not only that it was with LLMs that power agents, you've got a context window, and what was happening is there's so much going into that context that prompts. There's so much going into the prompt that it was getting confused. What we've done with agents, given agents specific roles, is we tied down specifically what each one of them is actually going to be doing, and the prompts are a hell of a lot smaller. So the interesting thing here is quite rightly deeply the concern regulators and capacity providers around black box AI, where data goes in, a decision comes out, no one can explain why. A single monolithic AI model is often a black box. But a multi-agent system is glass box because the process is broken down into specialized agents. It provides a detailed audit trail for every decision, for every claim. You can have a dedicated compliance agent whose only job is to generate human readable justifications. For example, this claim was flagged for review because the evidence agent found the invoice date was before the policy start date. The transparency strengthens trust with regulators and, just as importantly, with our capacity providers. So over to you, Deva, on the future.
Oh, thanks a ton, Mark. And just so on the demo, although we wanted to make it quite light for the purposes of this presentation, rest assured it's something that can talk to you, talk back, and integrates across channels. So it's multi-channel, as you've already seen. So thanks for that, Mark. Really appreciate that. But kind of looking ahead, what's next, right? So we've done the thinking around how you could move to a multi-agent system, how you could move to an architecture that's enterprise grade and also works within your current architectural setup. If anything, it only just enhances integration because it is able to, in effect, create another channel where you've got claims policy and all sorts of other data available to you, finance, whatever you'd like to say. Now, but when we look at what's next is we start looking at the impact of predictable claims journeys or predictable parts that your various scenarios, because AI by nature is very good with patterns, right? It's great in recognizing patterns, and it's also great in predicting and correctly modeling it for consumption, right? So you would definitely have recommendations coming through that, which would make it a lot more intuitive, lot quicker. And then, of course, when we look at the impact it'll have on things like the ability to integrate and share data, that's another huge area where when as Mark says, collaborative defense, where you can, fraud costs everyone a lot of money, not just insurers and MGAs. It costs your customers a huge amount of money as well, because 25%, as we spoke about earlier, when you miss them due to when you miss fraudulent claims, it increases premiums. It creates opportunity for abuse. It creates operational complexity, right? So if you have agentic solutions across the industry that can collaborate, particularly on non-sensitive data sharing or fraud in particular, saying that, look, we've recognized a pattern for these kind of claims coming through. There's been a big event, and so on and so forth. So you'd be able to share that, and you'd be able to correct things around the industry response to fraud, etc. And subrogation is another area we believe where you'd be able to identify groups of parties that are responsible and go after them. So yeah, if we can move on. So yeah, it just brings us to maybe a natural close. So what we talked about was the faster, cheaper, more scalable the frameworks that are afforded by agentic AI and conversational AI solutions, architectures that we explored again that could work alongside your existing enterprise-grade solutions and architectures, and the strategy to impact further areas like customer experience, fraud detection, etc. Right? So, and all of that is clearly something that helps you differentiate, right? So not just as an individual or a single company, but as an industry itself. So yeah, we believe that if we move on, I think, yeah, it's just wrapping things up. We believe we set out to look at the learning objectives around, how agentic solutions help with the operational efficiency in claims in particular, and how do we then look at, although we looked at a single agent at the moment, there were still quite a few agents working within the FML process, ingestion agents, conversational AI agents, integration, etc., right? So yeah, so we covered some of that, and then we'd be of course happy to talk through in more detail about that offline, and then the opportunities it affords us to explore and fully exploit business advantages. Right. So I hope that helps you with the the market briefing that we've just had. So yeah, I think another poll, hopefully another quick one. So this one's more around adoption, and after we've spoken through some of these concepts and some of the solutions and architectures that we just saw, how much how likely are you to adopt multi-agent AI systems in your claims operations? So yeah, let's get cracking. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, we would assume the first response coming in, need more info. Absolutely. Agree with that. Perfect. Maybe let's keep going. Yeah, okay. I think it looks like we've all answered this. Okay, excellent. So so I think we've sort of expected it to be something where you always would need to be more informed. When we started delivering these solutions, we looked at governance as one of the biggest challenges when it comes to anything to do with AI-led or LLM-based solutions. So, we'd be happy to talk through how we help address some of these open challenges around governance, and how do you really consume this or these solutions more in a more compliant way, in your organization. So and of course, completely appreciate that there's always going to be the evaluation process that you'd still need to look at, and so on. So would be not surprised there, but of course this also sort of reflects our 85% number, because it at least gives us confidence that you're looking at this as NGOs and as an industry. So thanks again, Alison. That should possibly help us with the results on there. So thank you for the opportunity. I think we are open to questions.
Yes, good news is we have some questions submitted. So I'll go with that. Our first one. So firstly, a thank you for the demo. And the question is this configurable with different data sets, as in configuring the different parameters for decision making? So is the intelligence rule based?
Shall I answer that one, Devon?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So obviously this is just a demo, and what we've had to do is to create an abstraction across your claims management system, your policy management system, your CRM, but essentially what you're doing is, if you take this forward, it would fit into your particular environment by having that, what we call a data layer. It's essentially to try and enable the agents to talk to your legacy systems, the systems you currently have. We do it through by mapping, what we call objects, like policy objects, like the claims objects, like the individual policyholder objects, etc. So the whole idea about multi-agent systems is not only that it can cope with any data model, but it can also integrate with any system that is normally exposed to by an API. Then we can get access to it. It's called a tool. Essentially, the agent calls tools, and each tool talks to a particular API to access your system. So there's two things to do. The integration is get yourself a data model that as a layer that the agent can understand, what the claims are, what the policies are, what the policy holders are. That whole abstraction of your existing systems. That's the key thing. The integration is, normally we find integration hard, but it's getting easier and easier with something called model context protocol, which is a standards now evolving for integration with agents. As you can probably imagine, it's all very, very new, but these standards we're using, for instance, within our own multi-agent system within Ancora. Bit of a long answer, but the answer is yes.
Thank you. I think we've got time for another question, and we have one here. So the question is multi-agent low code, no code? So can customers configure parameters themselves, or would Encora do that?
Yeah, so low code, no code is
Maybe let me try and answer that. I think.
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah, so it's a good what do you say, parallel in a way. I mean, it is low code, no code, because although we don't necessarily look at it as code, it's more prompts and LLM based and agentic. So we are developing these solutions more as part of a as we called it, multi-agent solution or a product. Now, in terms of configuration and continuous engineering, it is very much like low code, no code, right? So you would continue to manage the prompts, you'd continue to manage the agents, and that's not a massive amount of effort, in my opinion, right? It's something that it requires a very small team of data scientists, in this case, or but largely the engineering is going to be dependent on what the broader industry does with agents and LLMs, right? So you've got the likes of Microsoft, OpenAI, and Google Gemini, and so on. So the good thing is that you can consume all of it, but you would still need your own engineering organization to make sense of how you can update, consume, etc. Right? So yeah, it is a good parallel, low code, no code, but similar concept. So yeah, the answer is generally yes, I believe, right now.
Thank you very much. I think that has been timed perfectly, because we've got 1 minute left to pass on all the thank yous and let everyone rush off to probably a 2 o'clock meeting. Thank you both for a really informative meeting and presentation. Sorry. And yes, thank you for the demo. I know sometimes with technology, as marvelous as it is, as soon as you add Zoom into the equation, it can go a little awry. So yes, it worked well. So yes, so thank you very much to Deborah and Mark, and yes, thank you to everyone for joining us. And I will be sending you a link to the presentation hopefully early next week. So if you do want to recap on anything, and the contact details are all in the presentation as well. And I'm sure Mark and Deborah will be happy to deal with any questions you might have but didn't get a chance to ask in the session.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alison. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.